Well, as the sector closes out FY22, we saw continued gains across all three cohorts, with the not-for-profits now broken through the $190 average daily mark. The industry is also fast approaching $194 a day in ADS, with just over a 50-cent gain in the May claiming period. And with that, total claiming activity did jump nearly 10% across the sector, with the gain kicked up by the not-for-profits as they jumped over 1% from last month. This saw voluntary claiming activity during May, which was led by the not-for-profits, as they achieved nearly 1% higher in their voluntary claiming than the private operators during May. However, private operators had a lower base of claims to work with. Just 28% of those claims were greater than 12 months of age in the Medicare system. Pain management continued to show strong results as the industry approached 58% of total claiming in the Medicare system. The biggest jump came from the not-for-profits, achieving just over 3/4 of a percentage point. Private operators increasing 1/4 percentage point, but taking their total payment climbing to just over 63% of total claims in the Medicare system with a pain management associated with it. It'll be interesting as services start putting their attention to the transitioning of their pain management clinics to the new ANAC world as we lead up to the October changeover. We also saw the pressure area claiming within the complex healthcare domain increase slightly across all three cohorts as well. And it will be interesting to see how these claims translate into the not mobile categories of the new ANAC assessment, which providers will now start engaging with through the MyAgeCare portal. As we approach the final month of FY22, occupancy has been challenged with continued headwinds experienced by all operator types. All three segments retreated further, with the private operators now dipping below the 85% of occupied licensed beds. There was a slight uptick in the percentage of stays less than 6 months, with the not-for-profits jumping nearly 1% from last month to just over 22%. The private operators are still having over 1/4 of the residents staying under 6 months now in care. The percentage of residents entering care from hospital did retreat, with the private operators falling just over 7% this month. However, respite bed days utilized for the period did jump, indicating that there may be some further conversions to permanent care entry across all three segments in the near term. And speaking of averages, the average resident admission profile this month was a slightly older 85-year-old with an acuity level of $181 ADS. Now, the May period saw a decline in care minutes worked on a per bed per day basis, and also with direct RN minutes falling at around the same level. We are attributing this to some services stabilizing their outbreak management of COVID. However, with the introduction of the case mix adjusted average and 200-minute care minutes in October, it will be interesting to see how these units change in the lead up to ANAC. Agency hours swelled a further 10% over the May period, indicating that the sector is still struggling to fill shifts with their own contracted workforce. The allied health teams did see further growth through the May period, and with that, the new offerings, as are designed for pain management for the residents, it will be interesting to see how the future funding assessment framework will apply those within our services. Please join our webinar panel later this month around transitioning 4B pain management services into the ANAC world.